Hello. Beep, 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 beep. Morning all. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. Now, here, I've got something interesting for you this morning involving Will Hutton, Maya Forstater, and David Aronovich. Conversation on X that I want to draw your attention to. Ooh, it's another cold one this morning here at Jester Towers. And I hope you're ready for a nice, juicy conversation taking place in regards to the BBC. It's quite extraordinary to me, but there seems to be some degree of denial or whitewashing. That's the word that Maya has used. Take a look here at a post from November the 16th. Maya states, Alan, Will, David, that's Will Hutton she's talking to, David Aronovich. I'm not sure who the Alan is. That's Rusbridge, Alan Rusbridge, there we are. What is it that the Nothing to See Here crew have in common, says Maya, with a quizzical looking emoticon there. Alan Rusbridger's piece whitewashes the BBC's gender ideology corruption out of the picture altogether. She's talking there about a piece, I think, there that I read in Prospect magazine. Doesn't mention it at all. It's a most peculiar piece. It's really very odd indeed. Doesn't seem to add much whatsoever to anything, and certainly does not mention, as Maya has said, the gender ideology corruption, or for that matter, the rest of the corruption by EDI and DEI in the field of anti-racism, decolonisation and queer, which also infect the BBC because it's all part of the same filthy udder. Now, which David are you referring to, Maya? There are so many, says David Aronovich, in a kind of sort of, slight slap there, to which Juliet replies, it's you, whom Alan Rushbridger praises in his articles. Well, obviously she means you. David Aronovich comes back with, in which case I can only say that unusually for her, she failed to read what I had written. This is just great. It's like a spat over here to cure coffees after dinner. I read the Observer piece, comes back Maya. I think you are playing down the problem. It was not just young journalists with dumb, fashionable ideas. It was BBC senior management failing to stick to their mission, but instead chasing Stonewall points. Absolutely right, Maya. Absolutely right. And illustrated there by an excerpt that Maya has highlighted. You need to go and have a look at this and engage with it because it's worthwhile, because it shows to me an awful lot of what is going on in one thread. Now, the wonderful SEENinJournalism, who've done so much to expose the infection that we are well aware of, then chimed in to say, yes, young journalists straight out of university are not in a position to give 20k of licensed payers money to a trans activist groups, nor to commission long-form dramas and documentaries, nor rewrite the corporation's HR and safeguarding policies to exclude sex from every possible metric. They're not in a position to rewrite the style guide of 100-year-old organisation employing 20,000 people. The capture was top-down. The young journalists fresh out of university believed it was because they were taught it. The place where they wanted to work most in the world, the BBC told them it was true. Fascinating. To which David then replies, you think they arrived as blank slates, or are you arguing that this happened at school? The naivety is just extraordinary. This is the situation here. So in they come with their trans and their non-binary cobblers and their queer, which of course they bring with them the understanding about anti-racism, and also, the BBC's been asking for people who are black to be sound engineers. They've been excluding people for various reasons based on equality, when what actually they're doing is equity, the equity of critical social justice. And for David to state, "Oh, are you arguing that this happened at school?" is just priceless. Yes, David, it's happening at school, and I'm gobsmacked to think that after all that's happened and all that's going on and everything we now know, that you haven't looked. Scene replies, of course some of it could have happened in school, at university, but it was affirmed by the UK's most trusted outlet. Why would they not believe it? Should they have assumed the BBC was lying? Their parents were being told the same thing by the UK's most trusted outlet. Should the adults have assumed the BBC was lying? Accuracy and circumspection were required and not supplied. There is no plausible deniability on sex and gender, which is our wheelhouse. Reverting to accuracy and impartiality on this will do a great deal to restore public trust. which the BBC desperately needs right now. If it's still being told that it doesn't matter and it didn't really do anything wrong, trust will continue to be hollowed out. Its friends need to speak difficult truths, not soothing platitudes. We're aware you have spoken out on this previously, but it does the BBC no good to be assured that this is a niche issue being exploited by bad-paid actors. It's not true and not helpful to the BBC. To which David Aronovich replies, I'm sorry, David, but this did make me laugh. You'll need to provide some solid evidence for the love of God. Maya, seen in journalism, transgender trend. Don't divide us now. The number of organisations that have been providing evidence on the absolute capture of the BBC by EDI, is, what's the word I'm looking for? There's got to be a really good word to describe lots of them, and I can't think of it right now. It's incredible. You'll need to provide some footage. I wonder whether David even knows what the ComBB model is. I wonder if David even knows how they've been teaching in schools. I wonder if David even knows how they've been encouraged in universities to follow postmodernist and critical social justice-driven ideas. Does he know how far the thinking of Jean-Francois Lyotard and Michel Foucault have gone in corrupting the UK with this unbelievable, grievance-driven envy narrative of power and oppression that has now brought the BBC to its knees as they attempt to pretend that there is no difference between men and women through the lens of trans? I think not. Examples are myriad. That's the word I was looking for. David, the BBC head of religion and ethics, admonished me at a meeting of seniors in 2018 for objecting to rapist Karen White being called a woman, says Samantha Smith. He said, if a man says he's a woman, then he is. No debate. I submitted this evidence to Toronto in 2021. And then David replies, I believe you, and I think he was dogmatic and wrong. I wonder what he'd say himself now. This is just, you need to go and engage with this one, right? I've got the link in the Dubras as usual, because I tell you, it's an extraordinary conversation to watch happening, to sit back and watch happening. I mean, the Warrior teachers are going to be laughing their socks off when they read this. It's just surreal, absolutely surreal, that there isn't somebody putting the whole thing together and going, could it be that the problem is EDI? Could it be that the problem is the equity-driven nonsense of a bunch of lunatics who have infected our entire society from, as a scene in journalism said, the top down? Could it be that we might have to look at not just giving them an enema to get rid of the trans turd, but also the rest of the turds that are clogging up the BBC colon? I can only say that yes is the answer to that question. I'd like to see it all gone. And they're going to need a woke finder general to do it. I'm right here, folks. Could you imagine? Morning, you're fired. That's how I'd be. This is absolutely extraordinary conversation and really does show that there seems to be in our elites an absolute inability to step outside their bubble and recognise that what we've got is something incredibly dangerous that goes from primary school right to the top of the BBC. And until they do, nothing will change. You let me know what you think, because I think this is just absolutely extraordinary. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.